What's going on, y'all? Hey, it's Reginald Titus here. Just gonna allow for a couple more people to come in, and then we're gonna go ahead and get started. But this is about starting your film project. All right. Presented by Grind Over Matter Foundation. That's grindovermatter.org. We're a nonprofit based out of Dallas, Texas, and we do these workshops every month. If you look on our YouTube channel, we have interviews that we've done over the past year. People from directors to editors, different kind of artists that represent like the media field and also in filmmaking. So we're going to hang out here. Also, if you have like any questions or anything you would like us to talk about, this is going to be a quick one today. It's about starting your film project. A lot of us like to talk about the stuff, but it's about going ahead and getting started. It's 2026, so let's go ahead. It's time to get started, right? We got to rock and roll here. So we'll allow a few more people to come in. If you have any comments, just put it in the chat. All right. We're gonna start up here in just 1 minute. Start your own film project. If y'all have anything you would like me to talk about today in regards to your film project, we can chop it up about that. If you have any questions, we're gonna be approaching this like from an independent standpoint. So we're not talking from a Hollywood standpoint or $1 million projects. We're talking about whatever you have in your bank account, and we want to get started. So that's what we're on today. Independent filmmaking. All right. All right. Let's jump right into it. All right. So, starting your own film project. A couple things we're going to talk about today: your log line, your resources, your crew. Begin with ending with the ending in mind, and then starting with marketing and distribution. Like, where is your film going to live, and also take action because that's going to be one of the biggest keys, right? Log line. What is a log line? Does anybody know what a log line is? If not, here it is. When husband and wife assassins discover they are working for rival agencies, they have to decide whether to put love ahead of business. That's a log line. What film is that to? Does anybody know what film that is to? Give you a few seconds. I got a few people on here, so don't be shy. That is for the film. Let me check these comments first to make sure. That is for the film Mr. and Mrs. Smith, which is a very popular film, and I mean to this day it's still making money. Your log line is very important because this is going to be whenever you're creating your film or you're in the process of producing your film, people are going to be asking you over and over again. So what's your film about? What's your film about? What's your film about? And you want to be able to tell them. You're going to be able to be like, hey, without even thinking about it, you need to be able to tell them, hey, this is what our film is. So here's another example of a log line. A feature-length documentary that explores the struggles of hair identity told by women of color. This is a log line for one of our films, one of our independent films, a documentary called Natural Hair, the movie. Everybody on our team, we had to memorize what our film was about because it's easy to start rambling and be like, it's about this. Have you seen the film like this? And it's kind of like that. Now you need to have that log line memorized and see if you're garner interest from it. I'll give you an example of a quick log line. This is not like for a real movie or anything like that, but a squeamish funeral director has to fill up bodies in order to stay in business. So that's like just a quick one. You drop that line across people and they'd be like, all right, is that interesting or is that not? Nah, if it's not, you go on to the next one and try different log lines and try those on people to see if there's like actual interest into the project that you're thinking about. Because a lot of people have ideas for projects, but it doesn't necessarily mean it'll be a good idea. But that's okay if it doesn't land. Just keep going until you find one that lands. Let's go back to the first log line. When a husband and wife assassins discover they are working for rival agencies, they have to decide whether to put love ahead of business. So it's kind of giving you everything that you need to know in that log line. You know who, what, when, where, and then is this a journey that we want to go on after we find out, what the problem is? And so it's a perfect example of log line. So your homework is get that log line, whatever genre it is. Decide what genre that you're going to work in. If it's going to be horror, if it's going to be comedy, if it's going to be a documentary, figure out that log line. People want to be like, hey, I don't have my script finished. I need to finish my script first and do this. No, start with the log line and see if it's even worth going that journey with the project, because if you work on a script that nobody really cares about, then you're just kind of wasting time, and you're talking about 90 to 100 pages. So work on that log line and start there. This will create that momentum you need when you're producing your films, because you're going to need that momentum, because producing a film, it's a long journey, and um, you want to be able to create that momentum. I was going to be on camera. That's me and my wife here. If you see us right there at the bottom left, I was going to be on camera, but too much stuff was going on. So I was like, well, we're just going to do this a slideshow. So anyhow, that's me right there, just in case. As we do more of these workshops, uh, I will actually be on camera as we do that. But today, I just wanted to kind of get this out there and kind of start that momentum for me as well. Okay, next. Resources. All right. So as far as resource sources, you need to look about what do you have around you that can help you with your project. So is it location? Is it interesting car, famous person, free food, equipment? Okay. Location. If you have access to a house at all times 24/7, and it's like an interesting house, and you have free range to shoot there, you build your story around that house. An example of how a filmmaker can approach this would be like how Robert Rodriguez, he's a well-known filmmaker in Hollywood, but started independently. He produced a film called El Mariachi, and in that project, he built his whole story based on what he had access to him. What did he have access to? He had access to like a school bus. He had access to like this turtle. He had access to a city. He had access to Mexico, and so he used that to increase his production budget. Production value, not production budget. His production value. So think about what you actually have access to, because you'll be surprised what actually will actually add production value. So having a good location. All right, do you have like access to an interesting car, for example? Like, do you have access to like a limo? Do you have access to an ice cream truck? So if you had access to something like that, you're like, you know what? Maybe we can build a story around the ice cream truck, because that would be dope. What and maybe it could be a horror film or something like that. So think about these things that you might have access to, but you're not really thinking about it. Create a story around that. It might be an actual interesting story. Do you have access to like a famous person? Because if you have somebody that people know, it'll be easy to kind of to sell your film. So if you have a friend that's maybe he or she's an influencer, maybe they are actors, and they're willing to take a cut. Maybe they're willing to give you allow them to like participate on the back end, so they can be part of the project. So sometimes you can take people for granted just because maybe you're friends with them or something like that, and you think that maybe they don't want to help you or blah 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 blah. You got to have that conversation and get that access and be like, hey, even if it's like for like a scene or two, you'll be surprised what people will be willing to do to help you out. Do you have access to free food? These days, food is high. So, but if you do have like access to like discounted food, or you have somebody that's willing to cater for a discount, things like that, start thinking about these resources, because every day people are going to want to eat, and they're not going to always want to eat pizza. Okay. So keep that in mind. That's how you can keep your crew happy. Have some food. Have some food. Okay, next, equipment. Equipment is going to be is important, but I don't want you to get caught up in the hype of equipment, because some people will be like, "Oh man, you need to have this Ari, you need to have this Black Magic camera, you need to have this Red, you need to have blah 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 blah, you need to have film, IMAX, whatever." There's We're at a point where all cameras kind of look good right now. You got people that are shooting films on their iPhone, and so Right now, the access to equipment, that barrier is very low. And so don't let the equipment barrier be the reason why you don't start your project. So think about other filmmakers, other people that are in the space that have their that own their own equipment and that are willing to kind of work with you. Keep that in mind, but also don't get caught up in needing everything. You just need a camera. That's all you need. Just one camera. You're good. Okay. You're just going to have to be really resourceful on how you approach your project. Okay. What do you have access to? So this is a project from back in the day, one of our short films, and this is an example of having access, um, having access to resources. But one of our producers was able to find this location in the Arlington area, and we were able to shoot there for free. Under normal circumstances, with a budget, you're talking about something that's going to cost thousands of dollars, but it didn't cost us thousands of dollars. We were just our producer was willing to ask, hey. Sorry, Mike went unplugged for a second. Um, our producer was willing to kind of go in there and just say, "Hey, can we shoot here for free?" And the owner said, "Yeah, come on in." And so that's how we were able to get access to this film. This is like our second. This is our second. Yeah, this is our second film that we shot. It was a short film before we started our feature film project. But you never know, man. All you gotta do is go out there and ask. Don't be fearless and just go out there and get it done. The crew, the crew is important. Who do you have in your crew? As you see with our crew, we that's our crew there. I think there's only like one person missing there, but everybody contributed from a producing standpoint. So you had, for example, we had a producer like Pablo that had access to a lot of actors. They're willing to kind of come on some of our scripted stuff. We had AD as a producer who had access to musicians and um, other music artists that were willing to put their music onto our project. You also had Ashanti, who was executive producer that helped with the story because the movie was loosely based on her experiences. We also had London, who was a producer on the project to help with like the administrative work and making sure that legally we were good. And then we also had Kay Smith, who did the same thing administratively, and then also just making things smoother for kind of being the liaison between the creative side and like the business side. And when you're approaching people and they see that you're serious about your business, they're going to treat you a certain way. You know, you have your project, you have, you know, your movie LLC, and they see that you're treating it seriously. um People will give you that respect and be like, okay, we're willing to take a risk on it. So producers, so everybody on our project for our feature film that we worked with, as you saw in that group of pictures, they were producers on the project in some kind of way. You want to be make sure that your crew that you're building out, that these people are empowered to work on this project and y'all are working together to get it done. If I know people want to get paid, right? Everybody wants to get paid. You know what I'm saying? We're in the gig economy. Sometimes things are tight, but we're talking about getting your first project done. So when getting your first project done, it's not necessarily about that. It's about who's willing to make that sacrifice, who's willing to rock with you and willing to take it to the finish line, right? So producers, make sure you have a crew of producers. Look into your friend network, and also too, it's not necessarily people that are filmmakers, right? Like they may not have, that might be the first time they're working on a film project, but they are very from a business standpoint, they're very acute about certain business principles. So that's the kind of producers that you want to be on your project. They are aware about their surroundings, they have a good awareness, they have good customer service, they're willing to talk to people because this is a team project, right? And you need to be able to talk to the public and utilizing their resources. So that's the kind of people that you want on your project. They don't necessarily have to be quote unquote filmmakers, but you want business minded people to be in like that producer seat, right? Director. So, okay, when you're starting your own project, are you going to be the director? Are you going to be the executive producer? What are you going to do? So, as a director, the director is responsible for the vision, the overall vision of the film. That will be I'll use example of our film for Natural Hair the movie, which was a documentary, but it had some scripted items in there. The vision for this film was we wanted to look real, but we wanted to be high quality, but it didn't necessarily have to be super stylized, meaning it didn't have to be super dramatic or anything like that. We just wanted it to be a solid piece from beginning to end. And a lot of the style was going to be the style was going to be really seen in the post production. So that's one thing. Um, so you decide if you're going to be the director, or are you going to be finding the director? So I would say study directors, or find one in your network. DP, so director of photography. This is the person that is going to be the style of your vision. So this is the person that needs to know what they really need to know what they're talking about when it comes to making images appear awesome. Because a lot of people have cameras out here, but everybody isn't a cinematographer or DP. So don't let these terms confuse you. When you're looking for a DP, make sure they have a reel. Make sure you can see their work. If possible, maybe you can go and actually see them work to see if that's somebody that you can kind of vibe with and that you want to work with. But most importantly, look at their reel, their website, see their past work, and kind of understand how they work and what their needs are as well. Because every DP may not be able to work with you on your first project. I mean, like, hey, come back to me when you're on your third project and you got a little bit of budget. So I'll keep that in mind. Audio is the Achilles heel to all these projects. If your audio sucks, nobody's going to care about your story. They're not going to care about the style. They're not going to care about how you directed it or who's crying in there and how they're acting. Nobody's going to care because they can't hear it. So people are willing to forgive certain things, but bad audio, they're not willing to forgive. So you keep that in mind. Audio is going to be very important, and this may not be a lane that you can this may not be a lane where you'll get free support, right? Somebody that this might be one where you don't have to fork over the money and be like, hey, we need that audio, because I'm telling you, if the audio sucks, you're done. Okay. um we got Jaime's a DP, guys. If anybody on this call, he's DP for real cinematographer, solid stuff. He knows what he's talking about. But audio, he said audio should be above DP and director, like real talk. um also another trivia, Jaime actually was a DP on a few of our scenes inside Natural Hair the movie. So when we did some scripted scenes, he was actually a DP on there. But audio, crucial. Okay, next, editing. So part of making sure you can keep your budget tight and you can control it, is editing. When I did our first feature film project, I had to put on a lot of hats. Like I don't, I rolled from, I'm a producer, I'm a director. I don't consider myself a DP, but I did have to shoot some of my own scenes, especially during the interviews. We did over 60 plus interviews. So, and a lot of those I had to lie to myself and then, man the cameras. I don't necessarily consider myself a DP, but sometimes you just got to wear that hat, right? So that's what I had to do. But also, along with that, I also ran my own audio, but I got a lot of experience with running audio and being a DP specifically for documentaries. I shot a lot of testimonials for a nonprofit over 2 years, and that gave me the experience there. I wouldn't say this is not something that you just want to like start doing. This is something that I do for a career as far as like video production and helping businesses, things like that. So something that I've been doing. So I have that skill set, but I wouldn't recommend you just going out and just trying it. You definitely got to get those hours under your belt. But another way that you can save money is by being your own editor as well. So even though we didn't hire an editor for our project, I was the one who edited the project. But one of the cons to doing that was time. It took a while. The film ended up being 92 minutes, and it took about a year to finish the project because we had a lot of fair use stuff that had to be cleared through a legal department, and it took a real long time to do it. So you kind of sacrifice. If you're going to do it yourself, it might take a little bit longer than if you were going to pay somebody. So keep that in mind, right? Okay. All right, so we went over log line, we went over resources, we went over crew. Okay, next, begin with the ending in mind, your marketing or distribution. So I know everybody would like their film to be in the theater, right? Everybody wants their film to, I want it to go and be in the theater and it's going to sell out. But, and, Hollywood's going to pick it up, etc. I know those dreams. I know about it. But let's be honest about where we live, where we are, and understand where your project's going to end up being, right? There's a trend right now where everybody's streaming their people are streaming their content. And people are really watching YouTube more than they're watching movies. So you got to keep that in mind. Like your competition is Joe Rogan and all these other podcasts on YouTube. So you got to keep that in mind. So where's your film going to end up? More than likely, it's going to be on a platform like Amazon Prime, or it's going to be on Tubi. So know that, and then also understand your budget needs to reflect that reality. So don't go and say, "Hey, I need $1 million to produce my project. I need $500,000 to do this, do that." No, you need to start as small as you can. The money that you got in your pocket, that's what you got. You're gonna have to be really resourceful and keep that in mind. So with our marketing, we knew that marketing was going to be crucial. So if you go like to Google and you type in Natural Hair the Movie, this is stuff that you can do for free. SEO, making sure everything lines up with your product. We wanted to make sure that our product looked like a commercial product when everybody would look it up, whether that be merchandise on our shirts, whether it just be the logo, whether that's the key art, whatever platform or however we're presenting our film to the world, we want it to look like a commercial product. And so as you go and you look on Google and see our product, you'll see it being reflected there. If you look on IMDb, we have over 36 reviews. If you look on Amazon Prime, I believe we have like 80 something reviews on there. And then you can see all the places where to watch. So Tubi, Roku, Amazon. We're also on YouTube, and we had an exclusive deal with All Black for 2 years during the COVID season, and then we opened it across the world. So know where your film is going to live. The first 2 years when our project was being distributed, it was exclusive through a platform. Once that once that license was complete, then we decided to open it to the world, and now it's available everywhere. You can go on Tubi, you can go on YouTube, wherever platform is available. That's where it's going to live at, and the project makes money to this day. So keep that in mind. Keep that in mind, especially when you're budgeting for your films. You got to be real honest. And for example, if it's $50,000 or $100,000, try to figure out how you're going to get that money back. And advertising is going to be very important on your social media, on Facebook, whether you're running ads on Facebook, on Instagram, YouTube, on Google. Be Get good at running ads, because that's more than likely people are going to be consuming your content on a digital platform. So it makes sense to be running ads on these digital platforms and drawing traffic and see if it's converting like it needs to be. Here's an example from when we were in during COVID. When we were in COVID, we had our film on Amazon Prime. At the time on Amazon Prime, you could just have your film up there, just like you could submit it anywhere. And man, we were rocking and rolling. This was right before we got our deal with All Black, which is partner with AMC. We were making ads on Facebook, on Instagram, and we were just drawing a lot of traffic to Amazon Prime. It was doing really well, and it caught notice, which is part of the reason why we were able to get the deal that we got. But here's an example of utilizing whatever win, big or small, and flipping that into some form of marketing. So on here we have 1 million minutes streamed. This is pictures that we took from our key art photo shoot. So this these are one of the pictures from the photo shoot. We had professional photographer, professional makeup. We rented the place out. This is where you want to spend your money. You want to spend your money on your marketing. You want to spend money on the people that are going to be contributing to creating these assets, because when these assets, these digital assets, are living on YouTube or living on IMDb or wherever your assets are going to be, the potential consumer, can only make a judgment based on what that looks like. And you want it to look as commercial as possible. And so that's the way that it should do that. Okay. If you have any questions about that, leave it in a comment. Okay. Last but not least, take action, right? Go to grindovermatter.org. We're a 501c3. See some of the workshops that we've done in the past with other filmmakers and just take action. So don't forget to go on your log line, create your log line for your film, see what resources that you currently have that you have access to, create your team. Your team can be as small, like maybe 3 people. You know what I mean? It can be a creator, it can be the producer, that's the business type, and another producer, and y'all just go out there and get it done. Um, so don't forget about your crew. From a marketing and distribution standpoint, don't forget, begin with the ending in mind. A lot of people don't do that, and they think just magically they're going to get some deal from Hollywood, or magically somebody's going to pick it up and pay a lot of money because you spent a lot of money. It doesn't work that way. You need something that people actually want to watch and they're going to enjoy. And last but not least, take action. That's going to be important. That's going to set you ahead of everybody, because a lot of people talk, but few people take action. Okay. Also, here's do we'll put a link on our YouTube, where you can find our school. Our school, www.school.com / grind over matter foundation / wait, not forward slash dash 2579. So on there, if y'all are interested in kind of having accountability, having support, and also if you want to see the behind the scenes of our newest project that we're working on that's being developed, join our school, and we'll definitely be able. Check 1 2, check, check 1 2, check 1 2. Sorry about that. Audio went out for a second. Yeah, I got it. Audio went out for a second. Sorry about that. But anyhow, if y'all need the support, accountability, watch behind the scenes of our newest project, go to our school. That's school.com, ground over matter foundation / 2579. And we'll be able to kind of support you on that. I hope this was insightful, helpful to you. Uh, I'll be here for a couple minutes. If you have any questions you would like to ask, feel free. But if not, we're going to tune out. So I give you a few minutes here. All right, Shanta, she put the school link there. Remember, Shanti Tai, she was executive producer of Natural the movie. So that's who Shanti is. And she's also a co-founder of our nonprofit foundation. All right, y'all. Thank y'all for tuning in. About to end the stream. Thank you for your support, and we'll talk to you later. And we'll have another workshop pretty soon in the next couple of weeks. It will be on the calendar, in our on our school, on the back end of our school. You'll see it on there. If not, you'll see it on all of our social medias. I appreciate it. Y'all have a good one. Peace.